everyone, you're listening to the Tea with Tanya podcast, and I'm your host, Tanya Ambrose. I'm a public health professional by day and your average tea-loving millennial and content creator by night. My goal for this podcast is to share public health stories, self-love and wellness tips, to educate and empower, and to promote positive living. This podcast is here to serve you. Join me in the tea tasting room to see what I have brewing for you. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Tea with Tanya podcast. And in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing or talking about 3 signs that you're scared to walk in your greatness. Now, these 3 things that I'm going to list is what I've experienced personally, and I've been sitting with them for a while, and I decided, should I make it a podcast episode or not? And you know what? I say, why not? The Tea with Tanya podcast, we talk about anything, and of course, I can be vulnerable with you guys, because, you guys often understand, and you guys, I know some of you will resonate with what I'm about to say. I do want to apologize for my voice. I'm probably sounding a bit hoarse, but your girl's been going through it. I haven't had a full day of rest since May 6th, and today's May 18th. Well, by the time I'm recording this podcast, it'll be May 17th. Because yes, guys, I am recording this episode the day before. That's fine. Don't worry about that. Mind your business. But, yes, I want to talk about 3 things, or 3 signs that is showing that we are scared to walk in our greatness. And for me, the first thing, because I feel like I tend to make myself small and try to stroke people's egos. But the first thing that I realize is that, and excuse my French, I tend to half-ass almost everything that I do, literally. I've had to accept that because it's just the truth. I half-ass things, I don't put my whole ass, I put my whole heart into what I'm doing, and I feel like, I feel like sometimes to me, I'm afraid to show that I actually know things, know what I'm doing, know what I'm about. And to be honest, sometimes I'm just freaking lazy. There's no going around that. I just sometimes have a lazy mindset. I'm doing a bunch of things as it is. So sometimes I'm like, okay, let me just lay down, watch some TV instead of trying to push through. Sometimes, again, we can't always push through. We do need to rest. I'll say that. But most times I'm just really half-assing things. And I've been able to get by with me not doing everything or me not putting my all into it, whether it's school, job, even running a nonprofit, even with this podcast sometimes, I've been able to get by. And sometimes I think, can you imagine what I can get done or accomplish and what more I can do if I was to put my whole heart into what I'm doing? You know what I mean? So I feel like that's one of the reasons why I'm scared to walk in my greatness. So that's a sign that, I just half-ass everything because I don't want to be too good at something and then someone's going to say, oh, she's too good. Guys, it's just a weird thing. I'm sure somebody can relate here. It's just a weird thing to think about. Even when I'm thinking about my dual business, I've realized that, it's going to be hard work as a new entrepreneur with a service-based business. It's a new world for me. I'll tell you guys that. But, I can't be out here half-assing this thing. When I think about, because you guys know, you will come to know that Beyonce is one of my favorite person on the planet, one of outside of my family. And when I look at her and where she is in her career and the hard work she had to put in for her to be great, because we don't call her great just because we want to call her great. She is great. We've seen the hard work she's put in over the years. The GOAT, LeBron James. Many people can argue, but he is a GOAT. Let's just keep it real. But his hard work. He had to put in his hard work to get to where he is for him to be even considered or for him to even be great. Shoot, my father, shout out to Sir Curtly Ambrose, he didn't, he's considered an icon of his sport, a legend, and he didn't become a legend or an icon overnight. He had to put in the hard work as well. So when I think about all these people, they had to work a million times harder and they showed up every day putting in the work so that they can be considered and that they can be great. So why can't we, do the same thing? And, I've been thinking and I feel like, a lot really comes with being great. And I'm trying. And I'll be honest, sometimes I still half-ass things. I'm not there with my time management the way I want to be, but I do sometimes still half-ass things. And I feel like for me, sometimes when I do that, it's because I'm afraid. I'm going to be honest, it's because I am afraid to be great. For instance, with my doula business, I'm supposed to have my business registered in the state of Georgia since forever. And every time I get to that, I go through the process, fill out the application. When I get to that part for me to check out, I'm like, oh, girl, are you sure you want to be this? Are you sure you want to do that? Girl, no, you are a doula. You are an entrepreneur. You have a functioning doula business. Why are you afraid to just take the final step as far as registering and these different things? So again, let's just stop, half asking. Ask yourself why. Why are you afraid? Check in and reflect, because I like to reflect a lot. So check in and ask yourself these questions. Why are you afraid to be great? The next thing that I realized for me is that I tend to make myself small. And what I mean by that is like, I'll say, oh, I'm just this. Oh, I'm just that. I'll be like, oh, I'm just a doula. I'm just a podcast host. Oh, I'm just a public health professional. I'm just this. I'm just that. And it's just, you see, here I'm just again. It's just a matter of, no, you're not just anything. You are who you are. You know what I mean? You are great. I tend to downplay myself. And, I don't think we should be downplaying ourselves. I think we need to stand in our greatness, stand in who we are. Like, it's easy for us to say, oh, I'm just a regular black girl. Or for me, like I said, oh, I just have this amount of downloads. When in fact, Tea with Tanya podcast is growing. I'm not a large podcast like some of these other people out here, but, I'm building and I'm growing something. I'm still trying to figure out, okay, well, what direction am I going to take the podcast when it comes to season 2 and beyond? I am out here being the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization that I want to, and I will take global. So why am I saying, oh, I just have a nonprofit organization or I just have a podcast? Like, no. I know and I feel like, we can be realistic and be honest, guys, with ourselves when it comes to attaining or achieving certain goals. But let me tell you this, acknowledge your worth. And please don't minimize your accomplishment and all that you do. Because let me tell you, I tend to do that. Like I said, I'm just this, I'm just that. I make myself small. And like I said in the beginning, I be out here stroking people's egos and, like for what? Just be honest, and I know things too. I am capable of doing this. I know what it is. Let me stand, especially in a world where we have a bunch of, hustlers, entrepreneurs, people who want to buy from you or use your service. And I feel like, we do ourselves and the people who want to support a disservice by sitting on these ideas and not showing up and by playing small. So, I used to say, oh, no, we're no longer playing small. And in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking of myself as something small, but I'm not that anymore. I'm going to tell you that right now. We're not going to be playing small, guys. So, again, always checking with yourself. What's the other thing I'm trying to think? Yes, the third thing for me as to why I'm scared to even be great is because I am afraid of change. Guys, I am afraid of change. I'm afraid to even change my plans from 8 to 9 o'clock. Like, that's how bad I'm scared of change. I feel like, I'm supposed to have this podcast, this nonprofit, all these different things, trying to pivot now because I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing things that I am passionate about, maternal and child health, women's health, these different things. And it's not easy. And for me, the easier way or the easiest thing to do is for me to cling to what's safe. You understand what I'm saying? So, we gotta be open, keep an open mind, because sometimes I feel like that sets with it, that opens us to having a new mindset, new goals, and in turn we can do amazing things. Like, for instance, me, you guys and I work at 15 million jobs. I had a night job. I was exhausted, working a full-time day job, trying to handle everything that I had going on, and then working this night job, and it's just like, it wasn't beneficial to me anymore. It wasn't fulfilling me. There was no room for growth. It was just a job with extra money. And I had to quit. And even the process to, man, I've been at this job for a while. So not like I just started and I just stopped right away. But, even the process to leaving the job was a problem for me because I didn't want to change. And I'm like, you know what? I keep saying if I leave this job, I'm going to have more time to focus on my nonprofit, to focus on my doula business, to focus on this podcast, my brand, everything, So that was my reason behind leaving as well. But for some reason, I didn't want to leave again because, again, I'm afraid of change. Now, I'm not telling you, but I did it. And now, as I say, I'm still half-assing a little bit, but I'm getting and growing and putting more into everything else that I'm doing. I'm not telling you to go quit your job because, again, you need money to survive. But, sometimes letting go of certain things can open doors for you and open a lot more avenues for you to accomplish all your goals and for you to be, successful. Think about what's holding you back. Because some of us are in relationships, or some of you are in relationships that's holding you back. I'm not trying to come for you or anything. I'm just saying what it is. Some of us are in relationships that's holding us back. We need to let that relationship go. You may think about, we've been together for X amount of years. No, sometimes that's not going to be good enough. If somebody's not pushing you or they're holding you back from being great, then you need to let go of that relationship. And it could be a intimate relationship. It could be friendship. Sometimes we have some friends that are out here holding us back. It could be family that's holding us back from being great. Sometimes we have to let go. I'm not saying you're going to stop talking to them, but you got to, set that boundary to see how much access these people are going to have, towards for you. How many access they're going to have to you. Because again, I've been in situations where relationships have kept me back, friendships have kept me back, and I've had to move on, and I realize now that I am able to flourish after I would have let go some relationship or just, kept a particular distance from them. So guys, I know I said this. 3 signs that you're scared to be great is that you tend to half-ass things. You don't put your all into everything that you're doing. You could be a content creator, entrepreneur, side hustle, like I said, a dreamer, whatever is it that you can, even if you have a 9 to 5, think about how you can grow in that company. I no longer want to be in this position. I want to aim for the managerial position. I want to aim, whatever position it is, think about how you can get there and be great. Because, you're qualified. So the first thing that I said that shows that you're scared to be great is that you half-ass things. Even if you're doing things and, you're seeing certain results, you're still not putting your all into it. You tend to make yourself small and you minimize yourself by just saying, I'm just to this, I'm just to that. No. Acknowledge your worth and don't minimize your accomplishments and all that you do. Because, people ask me all the time, how do you do it? You have a podcast, a blog, non-profit, it's a one-man show over here when it comes to this podcast. I'm recording, editing, making graphics, all these different things. With my non-profit, I do have a team. But, we're still feeding you, and I'm still trying to make sure that our goals and our mission and our vision, we're working towards building that as well. As far as my blog, that's there. It's there. I'm trying to get it back. But, there's just so many different things when you stop minimizing or stop doing things, or you do things with your all, that you can accomplish so much more. And of course, don't be afraid to change. If you gotta leave that job so that it can open another door for you, that's fine. If you gotta leave a relationship so that you can flourish, that's fine. But just don't be afraid to change. Walk in your purpose. Check in with yourself. Pray. If you're a praying person, because I like to pray. If you're a praying person, you pray and trust your gut and your intuition. Because guys, let me tell you, I used to go against my gut all the time. When I did that, I always ended up in problems. I don't know why. So I've been the last year now, I've been trusting my gut, and I've seen results. I've been pleased with whatever decision I would have made when doing so. I've made changes. I've sat and I thought about what are my roadblocks, what's stopping me from accomplishing my goals. And this can be important for someone. Sit and think. You may want to do something. Been thinking about doing something, been sitting on the idea, but something is stopping you. So try to sit and reflect and see what is that roadblock, what's stopping you from being great. Guys, that's honestly all that I have. It was on my mind, because what? Let me not have an episode this week. Let me just wait and upload the other ones. Take a week off. But I'm like, no, there's no time to take a week off. It was on my mind because I've been sitting and reflecting for weeks now, especially, like I said, on my road, on my journey to becoming an entrepreneur as a doula, getting the non-profit organization together. Because let me tell you this, Scrub Life Cares will be global very soon, okay? In the next few years, we're going to be on every continent. Well, of course. But yeah, so I just thought that it was important for me to just share what I was feeling, because again, that's the reason why I had the podcast. Everything can always be polished. I've been afraid, I've been doubting myself from, registering my business and these different things, or putting myself out there even, because again, out here walking around half-assing things, acting all willy-nilly, not put my all, now that I have more times on my hand where I can actually be dedicated to my different passions, which I have been doing, though I'll give myself that every day. I set aside 2 hours for, one of my passions. But at the same time, make sure that you are acknowledging where you are and your worth, and don't minimize what is it that you do and what you know. You know what I mean? And that's really all what I have for you guys. I find out, let me just say this first though, find out what or who is stopping you from being great. So that's something. If you don't take away anything else from this episode, sit and think, who or what is stopping you from being great? And also sit and identify ways to embrace your greatness. And that's all I have for you guys. I'm sure you can probably hear some trains in the background because I'm in my car recording this episode because I just couldn't wait to get it out of my head. But definitely find out who or what is stopping you from being great, and just identify ways to embrace your greatness. And that's all I have, and I'll definitely see you next. Oh, before I go, I'm going to toot my horn a little bit, let you guys know that I am a doula. I would have, if you follow me on social media, you would see that. See if you're expecting, or someone who's expecting and they're looking for a doula, then therefore, just click the link in this show note where you can, email me to find out more information, or you can book a consultation. Yes, I am doing virtual. I'm doing it virtually as well because of COVID, so that's fine. So yeah, that's just my plug. I think I'm going forward, I'm gonna have a doula on here. We're gonna talk about what is a doula, what role the doula play, all that episode is coming, guys. So again, thank you for listening. Definitely make sure you subscribe on Apple, like, and leave a review and rate. And I'll definitely see you in the tea tasting room next week. Have a good day. See you next week, guys.